we appear to be part of the scam.
Right? One of the things we're in line with him on, which is scamming. So I'd be remiss if I didn't start discussing it or expanding on it at this point, given that it's been the topic of the discussion up until now, along with me pointing out that I rely on revenue like any normal person does. So we've got lots of parallels all converging at this particular point, just by chance, because of what Dave said about us being scammers and wanting to aspire to be like, presumably, Math and Eric Dubay and whoever else.
Note physics, which still cannot be done today by majority of the academic world, as they are particle physicists, and just ignore the fact that they literally can't explain most of the phenomena. That would be a whole other presentation as well.
There you go. There's him utilising the juxtaposition in his magic trick. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound like what we said to Becky and Professor Dave? Yeah, it is. It's the same thing. That's why we're being called scammers. This is the reason. They're pulling the same exact swindle.
Right. When he said explain phenomena, he stepped in to a hyper-exclusive method that will give you an empirical outcome. But he's not going to use that method.
He's peddling cause and effect relationships with the promises of free energy behind a paywall that's only overcome if you know what science is as we disseminate it here. So we are as big a threat to this pseudoscience peddled by Jaron and Austin Whitsitt and Globebusters and Bob as we are to the globe. Literally save lives. Yes, celestial navigation saves lives. People don't die because they know the Earth is flat and they can measure it that way. That's a standard so far in excess of, well, global positioning system, obviously. What about the global positioning? How does it work, Dave? Can you explain? Professor Dave explains. Oh, you can't. You haven't. You're not going to. You're going to ad hom Dave. So Professor Dave explains the channel name itself is just a lie because he's not explaining. You know, parroting off global in a title for something doesn't explain how that system works, like Brian did and has done many times. Do you think you'll find that on Professor Dave Explains YouTube channel? An in-depth explanation for how the Euclidean three-dimensional system only capable of utilizing a flat plane works for global positioning. Maybe you could explain that, because we would point out that that needs a flat Earth. You're not explaining anything, you're just throwing it out there.
It does need a flat Earth. Lines of longitude and latitude, correct.
You know, attract people to he like it's so pathetic, but in this community there's like 5 or 6 guys that all want to be like the #1 flat Earth guy.
No, what I will say though is there's me, I can only speak for myself, and in terms of my YouTubing, I want to be you. So I don't want to be these guys like the flat earthers you're describing and stereotyping. I actually want to be you. The guy who, when you type in flat earth, appears on the searches. That's what I want to be. I aspire to be you. Or Simon Dan. I make it very clear. I verbalise my jealousy of Simon Dan quite frequently. I mean, he's a complete moron. He's thick as shit. He hasn't got a clue what he does when he tweets me about Earth reference frames being ruined. I mean, the guy's a complete idiot. But yet he gets all the views and all the money. Not me. So who do I aspire to? Do I aspire to be like Bob at Globebusters? Oh, definitely not. About Math Palan? No, I don't aspire to be like him. He's an artist. He's got very little in common with him, actually. What about Jaron? No, not really. You know, he sells historic books, or used to. I've got very little in common with most of them. You, on the other hand, some guy who can offer a bit of personality on YouTube, I see myself as far superior in terms of the explains bit in your channel. But who's getting the views when you type in flat Earth? You've made that very clear. You go viral by saying, well, global position is just, that's your standard. Or here's a load of flat Earth models that could only be measured with flat planes, and my globe works better when I don't show it, or show how it works, or detail it, or explain it. Yeah, I envy you, like I envy Dan. I want the same exact treatment from YouTube that I don't get, and you do, with our subject.
But you're not gonna get it, though. You're not gonna get it because the only way to get promoted as a flat earther on YouTube is by getting everything wrong.
Possibly.
It's that simple.
Maybe. I don't know that's the case. I do know that if you type in flat Earth, you find him.
It's
So,
measurable.
That's my
You can
specialist
literally
subject.
measure it.
He's a jack of all trades covering vaccines and trans science. That's what he covered in his other subjects. It's not a specialist subject for Dave. It's a explained channel based on him being a professor, which he isn't. That's his channel, right? But so why would it be the case that he goes immediately to the top of the flat Earth search results when it is literally our specialist subject? Oh, well, because we're disseminating the truth about how the Earth isn't a sphere, and it's the overriding Western world paradigm, simultaneously utilised the world over for navigation and building. So you can't censor us out of existence. What are you going to do? Censor everybody who builds things and uses levels? No, I don't think so. Definitely not. That's why we're still here. But we do have to be combated. And the way we are combated is by you appearing in the searches instead of me. So who am I going to aspire to? All the other people who are far down the lists when you type in exact titles for their videos. You can type in an exact title for my video and you'll get him appear. Type in Flat Earth Debate, he'll appear. Doesn't matter what I give as a search, as a title, as tags, he'll appear.
There's another way. In your, once you put up your YouTube of this show, in the tag words, put Professor Dave, put Andrew Gold, put everything that they have. And when people go search, the algorithms will find you.
No.
And in order to do that...
Dave,
yeah, that's 10 years ago. That doesn't work like that anymore.
Not for us, no.
Have to like do these little appearances.
Are you challenging that that's the case? You think that's the case? Just take it from me, it isn't. It should be, and maybe is for others. For me,
have you tried it?
It isn't. Yes.
Okay, that's all I need.
Differences in like,
Trump
oh,
stamp will overrule it, won't it? In terms of
just change your name, Dave Oakley.
My dad's name.
Yeah. Just the only way to get successful as a flat earther is being the most retarded flat earther you could conceivably be in public. And that way you'll go straight to the top.
Or a scammer. Like an actual scammer.
Well, that's pretty much the same thing, isn't it? I mean, what kind of scammer would scam with flat earth? That's already kind of paradoxical. You have to be an idiot just to try that.
Really? I was recently offered examples of exactly that. As weird as it is to say, while I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of Jeranism, claiming I am a scammer, it's then been offered up with examples of Jeran scamming to me. Were you unaware of this, Arwin?
No, I'm absolutely aware of that. But yeah, I kind of think Jeran is kind of retard too. So yeah, makes perfect sense.
But he was reading a citation and he changed the words.
That's correct. Sounds kind of stupid to me, if you ask me.
No, that's fraudulent.
And a really dumb form of fraud because it's very easy to figure out that it is fraud. So kind of dumb.
Can we get back to Professor Dave?
We can. It's just it's on topic because of, I don't know if Adam's around listening to this. He's not piping up, so it might end at this point if he doesn't pipe up. But it's one of those that I'm talking about contributions in the live show today. Now we've got Dave criticising us for our income, and we're pointing back the fingers that he points at us by saying, no, you're the one who actually benefits from the things you're criticising us for, i.e. making money. Then he's calling us scammers. And we go, well, no, the people that you're suggesting that we look up to, right, in Flat Earth, i.e. the bigger names within Flat Earth, we have a huge level of criticism for, right? One of the things we're in line with him on, which is scamming. So I'd be remiss if I didn't start discussing it or expanding on it at this point, given that it's been the topic of the discussion up until now, along with me pointing out that I rely on revenue like any normal person does. So we've got lots of parallels all converging at this particular point, just by chance, because of what Dave said about us being scammers and wanting to aspire to be like, presumably, Math and Eric Debay and whoever else. So, Adam is presenting something, or is it Adam? Who's presenting?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay, so...
It's probably an opportune point. I'm happy for people to go out there and do whatever they want. The reason I'm commenting here is we appear to be part of the scam. we appear to be a distraction technique. And what we've got here is a video.
Distraction?
Yeah.
Really?
Right, you just have to pipe down. Just listen to what Adam's got to say.
Right.
So you shout scammer and point fingers over a particular place, which is what's happened. It's a lot easier. People might trust you a little bit more now. So I'm not normally asked, and I won't point these things out. It's up to people what they do and how they spend their money. But this seems to me to be the definition of a scam. So we have, I said I'll scroll up in a minute, 10-minute excerpt from the Rockfin stuff where all the good gravy is. And there's a gentleman here, Jack Eck. Why pay for this when you upload it anyway? And this is the response from Jaron. I only uploaded 10 minutes of an hour-long gravy section from his presentation. Trust. There is much more and very worth a small donation. Now, two things. Are we selling truth here? Because to access this truth, I've got to go and pay Rockfin. And therefore, I would say that this is not truth that's been said in here. This is not, they're not asking for a donation like Nathan does, like Neil might need a donation. This is a paywall to truth. It may be presented as a small donation, but a donation is given after something you've received something. It's a donation. It's not necessary. Yeah, you donate it after the event, not donate first or you won't receive. Now that to me sounds like a scam. If anybody's scamming out there, this is it. Only 10 minutes of an hour-long gravy section. I assume gravy means solid truth, telling you the nature of the world we live in.
Okay, so Adam, when you first brought this to my attention, my first question was, how is this A, related to us to call foul, and B, any different to, say, John LeBon, who has his quote-unquote truth behind a paywall and would be encouraging people in his comments to go and pay for it? Why would we be involved in calling foul in this regard?
Yeah, because, like I said, we were the ones that were shouted out by these people as scammers. I said a distraction technique to me. So the only reason I'm here is I'm defending my honour as a flat earth homo. Yeah. You called me into it. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. But this is you demonstrating in your own words that you're the scammer, that you're selling supposed truth. Yeah. But you ain't getting that truth. You don't make a small donation first. I would differ that. Yeah. That's the difference to me. It's not.
Indeed. So just to add a little bit more to that, we stand in the way of their scam. So what we've got is voodoo nonsense being peddled about free energy. It's all bollocks, but it's being hidden behind a paywall. And anybody who's got a vague idea about the scientific method would and could pull apart this complete voodoo nonsense that they're peddling easily. Therefore, we're a threat to them, because while they peddle this nonsense that's behind a paywall, and obviously a small donation, in quotes, will get you this gravy train of truth, yeah, that truth has us contradicting it, pointing out that when they say science in their gravy train of truth, it doesn't have any scientific empiricism or validity actually attached to it, because here's what science actually is. So preemptively, they have attacked us, and me personally, for being scammers, so that they can wipe us out of the way of their actual science-based scam. Because what they're doing is peddling cause and effect relationships with the promises of free energy behind a paywall that's only overcome if you know what science is as we disseminate it here. So we are as big a threat to this pseudoscience, peddled by Jaron and Austin Whitsitt and Globebusters and Bob, as we are to the globe. We're a threat to them. That's why we've been preemptively called scammers, Not just because of a guilty conscience based on this particular scam, but based on the fact that we can undo their scam with what we declare about science, specifically, because they're using the exact same magic trick. They're peddling their nonsense with these magic words too.
And that's why their fight is against science as well. They got to get the real science out of the way so they can promote their little pseudoscience nonsense.
Correct. But we're going to pull apart that little pseudoscience nonsense gravy train for the audience right now.
Note physics, which still cannot be done today by majority of the academic world, as they are particle physicists, and just ignore the fact that they literally can't explain most of the phenomena. That would be a whole other presentation as well.
There you go. There's him utilizing the juxtaposition in his magic trick for science, isn't it? That's why we're being called scammers, because we detail what science actually is. He's appealing to what people know in academia, but cross-referencing it with scientific knowledge. No, we've got methodology to establish cause and effect reasoning with systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound like what we said to Becky and Professor Dave? Yeah, it is. It's the same thing. That's why we're being called scammers. This is the reason. They're pulling the same exact swindle.
Right. When he said explain phenomena, he stepped in to a hyper-exclusive method that will give you an empirical outcome, but he's not going to use that method.